It is the Mosley Show live. You're looking live into the Mosley home office. And here we go on a Wednesday. And we got a lot to discuss and get some good Cowboys news to react to. I've got, Brian Schotty Schottenheimer. I got a lot to react to from Jerry yesterday. We heard from Jerry. Jerry was in the mood of really taking up for Eberflus and that hire and everything. And Brian Schottenheimer has no. He has to take up and defend. What's going on with this defense coordinator. There's nothing to do. If he throws him overboard, there's no great answers. He brought people with him. There's nothing internal. There's really nobody to turn it over with. So he's going to have to defend it. The thing that's sort of unfair to Schottenheimer here is, as Jerry continues to talk about all this great adversity that Eberflus has faced, and how they still feel just as good about him today as they did when they hired him. I mean, that's a joke. That's a joke. I mean, you can say that and you can throw that out, but that's just trying to defend the move. Where it's really unfair to Schottenheimer, and I get it. Schottenheimer can't fire him. I don't think even if he wanted to, he'd be allowed to fire him, and it would do him no good to come on and just say, yeah, this coach is doing a poor job. In fact, Schottenheimer went out of his way to be really cool about it yesterday and said, hey, I've been there. I've been him. I've been where everybody said that guy should be fired. That guy can't coach. Like, Schottenheimer did defend him. It's worth noting that he didn't hire him. The Eberflus thing was well into happening while Schottenheimer was being interviewed. The Jones boys were doing all this on their own. They were out making hires and talking to defense coordinators, and they pounced when they had the chance to bring back Eberflus, who had spent 6 or 7 seasons working under Rod Marinelli. I think he arrived actually with Rob Ryan back in the day. I mean, 2011 through about 2017, he was with the Cowboys. So to act like, oh my gosh, Schotty desperately wanted this guy. No, he didn't. There was no connection between those two. This was an arranged marriage. And right now you have one part of the marriage flourishing. The offense is doing great, putting up big numbers. I mean, I'm looking today, and Scotty Swingler's always here with me. And we'll bring on Scotty here in a little while. He'll have a big-time Campus Confidential to share. And Scotty and I, we're so appreciative, by the way, everybody who continues to join this YouTube presentation and the podcast and all the different platforms. We got tons of people. We're getting more and more views every day, more and more downloads, more and more people are subscribing. And so I tend to have too much of a view of my old radio habits where I'm like, wait, there aren't like the first day, there aren't like 50,000 people out there listening. I want like 100,000 people to show up and be out there in the live stream the first day. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But the great thing is man, you guys are consuming, downloading, watching all these videos, and I think Scotty will be excited to hear this. In fact, I've shared this with him already since he is the producer of this show. But in addition to our big Green and Gold Game Day show coming up live from near the TCU campus on Saturday, I've got Gary Patterson, who, along with Art Briles, I mean, they fueled this thing and they made this rivalry great. I've got Gary on tomorrow, so that'll be live. We'll nail that down either 1:30 or 2 tomorrow. We'll nail that down and let everybody know. So Patterson, and of course you can watch it afterwards. Patterson tomorrow, and then Brad Sham, the legendary voice of the Cowboys, got him lined up for Friday. And so I think I think we're zeroing in for 1:30 on that one. Usually that's when we do Campus Confidential. But when you get these legends on, you just kind of do it whenever they're ready to go. And so legendary coach on tomorrow, Gary Patterson, legendary voice of the Cowboys. And then I was trying to get today. Well, I was going to see if he'd responded out there. But yeah, Scotty's back with us, so it's always good to have him. Scotty's managing many things during our show because we have all these sponsors and all this stuff to do and all these graphics and all these wonderful things that we do. But Justin Fuente, who's now become the color analyst for the Frogs, was someone that Mac Rhodes was rumored to have been thinking about when the Bears were trying to make a hire. And I'm trying to remember if it was when they hired Aranda or when they hired Rule back circa 2017. But one of those, somewhere in there, Fuente had gone to Virginia Tech. And he had a really good first season at Virginia Tech. In fact, he won, I think, 10 games. And then he gets fired. And, of course, Virginia Tech's already fired their next coach now. But Justin Fuente was Gary Patterson's longtime assistant. He's now doing TCU radio. So I was going to have him jump on with us. But tomorrow it'll be Patterson, and then Friday Brad Sham. And then, of course, today at about 1:35, we'll do some Campus Confidential. And we got a lot to do, including, Scotty, some things I've been looking at as far as the SEC and ACC, how many teams, if the season ended right now, what the college football playoff would look like. And soon we're going to start getting the rankings. And then we'll start seeing Mac Rhodes. Mac Rhodes is, Johnny on the spot. I've had him on for many years, and we always have a fun time. And sometimes we'll record him. Sometimes we'll do him live. But most times I do him live. And I've been having him on the radio forever. Mac Rhodes has not been doing media lately. And so that's kind of interesting. Baylor's chosen not to because he's getting ready to be the face of the CFP. And so he'll have all that on his plate. I kind of thought the bye week would have been a good time to have him on. But whatever reason, Baylor, he's not doing media right now. But he loves the new show. He's been watching. All that stuff's been kind of fun to hear from all the Baylor people who are taking in our new show. But Mac Rhodes just not doing media as we speak. But we'll get him on. We'll get him on soon. And I don't know if it'll be from the Log Cabin Village Saturday, but we'll get Mac on and have a good visit with him because we're going to start hearing from him nationally. When they do that breakdown show at like 7 o'clock or whatever time they do that, 6 or 6:30 on it's usually about 6 o'clock Central, the college football playoff announcement show where they break down those rankings every week. He'll be the one that they interview, and he'll kind of work through and represent, why certain people were picked different places. And that'll be interesting. I found it funny, Scotty, you'll love this. On the Big 12, it said, if the season ended today, the Big 12 would only get one team, and it would be Texas Tech. Texas Tech is undefeated. They got a great schedule. They're doing fine. All right. Then it had the list of schools with work to do in the Big 12. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Now we've got. Well, this is nice. Yeah. This is the first round buys and all that kind of stuff. But we'll have more. But Scotty, I love this. So in the Big 12, they said that the Tech was the one school in. The teams with work to do, you had BYU, which makes sense. They're undefeated. And Houston. Just like, okay, is it just because Houston only has the one loss to – they kind of got crushed by Tech, but it worked to do. It had BYU, Houston, and then one more team. And then everybody else was just like, basically not even not even really in the picture, including Baylor and TCU, the two teams that play. Of course, if Baylor wins the conference, if Baylor comes back and finds a way to win the conference, they're going to find a way and even a 2-loss Baylor team. And of course, that's what they already are. So they're going to basically have to run the table to win the conference. Is there a chance with a 2-loss conference team could get into the conference championship game? Yeah, I guess, because we don't know. We think Tech has a great chance to run the table, but teams like Arizona State, TCU, BYU, all those teams could end up with 2 conference losses and still have some shot of getting to the conference title game where they would play against Texas Tech. But I find that funny, and I guess it's just because of their overall record, Scotty. But of the teams, they had like 3 teams that have work to do to get into the college football playoff, and one of them was Houston, the University of Houston. Okay, or can we be real? Can we try to be real about this? And it had BYU, Houston, and who else would that be, Scotty? Probably, because who else is still relatively unscathed? Oh, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's the other one, because Cincinnati only has the 1 loss, and I don't think that's a conference loss, is it? Right? Cincinnati has the 1 loss. I think they had Cincinnati. Now, again, it was Utah. It was Utah, because Utah has the 1 conference loss to Texas Tech. That was it. It was Utah, Houston, and BYU from a team, that have the work to do. We shall see. And of course, as Scotty pointed out yesterday, Baylor has a lot of these teams that you need to beat that right there on the schedule. Cincinnati, Utah, and then some of these top teams are not on the schedule this year, whether that be Utah and Texas Tech. Baylor doesn't have to face those teams. So, I mean, the Bears do have a path, but if you drop the game at TCU, there is no path. Now, here's the thing. This is a good team to get into a shootout with. You both teams have great quarterbacks. Both teams give up a ton of yardage. Both teams give up a ton of points. Both teams don't defend the pass. All right? And at times, Baylor has not been able to defend the run. If you got a quarterback who can run, or if you've got a running game, you got issues. Now, the good news is Hoover's not a great runner. TCU doesn't have a great running game. Now, that doesn't mean they can't come out there and annihilate the Bears in the passing game. All right? Because the Bears, quite honestly, if we start naming Bears cornerbacks, especially with Tevin out, it's just like, okay, who is Baylor's best cornerback right now? Caden Jenkins, Williford, Thornton. I mean, they got some safeties between Devin and the way Redding's playing. And maybe they don't even need Carl Williams that much as he tries to return from injury. And again, I don't know if you ever count on a kid like that, but we shall see. Again, huge TCU Baylor day coming up tomorrow, because we will have Gary Patterson on. And then, Scotty, you'll be happy to know, and I'll find a way, and I'll need to confer with you so I don't screw this up. I need to find the best way to phrase it today to send the most people to our new YouTube show, because I'll be on with Colin Cowherd taping his podcast with him this afternoon. And so I'd like to be able to say in a very succinct way, hey, check out the new YouTube show. It's the Matt Mosley Show. Go blah, blah, go here. And the only way I know how to do it, Scotty, is to say, just search Matt Mosley Show, and you'll find it on YouTube. Like I think that's about the only way I know how to do it. So, Scotty, if you have some more buzzwords for me, I do think when we have these big moments and we're on these large platforms, those are good days to really tout the show. But again, the good news is, Scotty, I think you were doing some stuff when I was saying this earlier, but you know this too. We're seeing evidence of tons of downloads, tons of views, and you're liking our videos. And then a shout out to Zach Burke, who is also in our man Brazos Tankersley, because they're doing a lot of the back end work. All right. They're putting out videos everywhere. It takes a village, especially when you're working with me. I heard, like, on the Pete Souza show, I heard somebody mention that he cuts his own videos up. That's scary to think. If Scotty, you tried to say, hey, Matt, I'm going to try to teach you how to do this, that would be a scary day for all involved. In fact, there would probably be like hidden weird footage that would end up places that we don't need it to end up. But we're rolling. We got some good stuff out there. And then the latest Cowboys news. Let me look at the time here because we do need to get to Campus Confidential at some point. And as we get to the 2:00 hour, I'll tell you what we'll do. I want to dedicate some of that time to listening, checking in with Dave Aranda, and reacting to some of the things he was going to say. I just Schottenheimer was getting ready to talk today, and I wanted to let you know the news is that CeeDee Lamb's returning to practice. It's pretty big. We knew that. In fact, Scotty, I'm going to send this to you since you'll love putting this up here. You'll love putting this up on the deal. We have photo evidence. There they are together at today's practice. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens back together. The breaking news. I had a long time radio breaking news, but I'm kind of liking this new sounder. It just kind of has a real fun feel to it. And so anyway, we got footage of this, and now we are seeing it. And then everybody out there was waiting earlier for Schottenheimer to talk. So I wanted to get the most breaking news we could get you from the Cowboys. But where I was headed with this a minute ago, and again, we'll have, gosh, I like going to Clarence Hill to see what he has, but he gets very political at times. So it's like a bunch of political stuff. I wanted to hit you with a couple of Cowboys thoughts before we get to Campus Confidential. In addition to CeeDee Lamb not being back at practice, so that's good news. They're waiting for Kevontae Turpin to get back. They're waiting to get more offensive linemen back. They got the starting left tackle, the starting left guard back last week. So lots to talk about there. I just saw something, and there's also a column that I'll bring up because Jerry brought it up that Scotty and I can talk about, and it's a column my old radio cohort did, Tim Calishaw, and it's about something I've talked about a lot. And it's the fact that the Cowboys basically lucked into 20 years of good quarterback play, right? Tony Romo was undrafted. Let's not act like now they got him, and David Lee, who was the quarterback's coach at the time, Sean Payton, they all deserve a lot of credit because they knew about him. They knew about him. He was at Eastern Illinois. They bring him in, and the rest is history. He becomes one of the great quarterbacks in franchise history, certainly not up there with Roger and probably not. Probably wouldn't even put him up there with Danny because Danny had way more playoff success. But Roger and Troy. But Tony had a great career. I mean, put up unbelievable numbers and was clutch. Was a clutch quarterback. Now, for the last decade, Dak has put up big numbers. So for 20 years, they've had very, very solid quarterback play, and they have almost nothing to show for it. They have 0 trips to the NFC title game. In fact, that hadn't happened in the past. We're going on the 30-year anniversary of that. Coming up will be 30 years without a trip to the NFC title game. So there was a column written about that. It's something I've talked about a lot. Jerry took a very strange look at that. All right, so we'll have Scotty and I'll get into that. But Scotty, today, and I want you to take a peek at this. In fact, I'll send you the deal. The Ringer does this thing where they power rank quarterbacks, but they also keep the power ranking in terms of full body of work for where they are in their careers and all of that. And somehow, according to their rankings, Josh Allen right now is number one. And you would go, wait, Mahomes is the one that's won all the Super Bowls. But there's a lot that goes into this. But what made me kind of look at this thing and go, interesting. Right now, of the 32 quarterbacks, They've got Dak sixth, and you go, well, Matt, he makes $60 million a year. He should be sixth. Well, so many people don't think he lives up to that. I thought I would point that up. But there are metrics right now, and part of them are with the people that grade all this stuff, Scotty, PFF, Pro Football Focus. Part of this is just the and there are groups that do the EPA, like expected. There's just a ton of analytics that show that Dak right now is on a pace that's even better than when he got second place in the MVP voting in 2023. That he is having a monster season. And I'm talking on the metrics that measure big time throws. Okay. That's usually sort of clutch throws. That's not only distance, but that's like at certain points of the games, quote, big time throws. There's a measurement for like everything. He has fewer balls than even the great Mahomes and Josh Allen right now when it comes to balls that could have been picked off. But that doesn't mean he's not throwing into tight windows, because he is throwing into a lot tight windows this year. It's just remarkable to me that there is numerical evidence that this guy is having the season of his career at age 31 or 32. Is he 32? He's having the greatest year of his career. The team is scoring 29 or 30 points every game. They're averaging 30 points a game, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. This team is 2-3-2, and everything was playing in their favor in terms of what the division is doing. Eagles are struggling. Eagles have dropped 2 straight. Commanders had a horrible loss. I mean, they just handed a game to Chicago the other night to fall to, I think they're 3-2 on the season. I mean, the Commanders are struggling. I mean, the Cowboys could be 3-2-1, feeling great about things, headed toward a big matchup with the Commanders to see who's second, and could be headed toward, knocking on first place door. And of course, they couldn't get it done. So you have everybody stumbling around in this division. Cowboys have the best offense in football, and it doesn't matter. All you need, and what's funny is, and Scotty, it's almost kind of like all our teams, right? It's like with Baylor. What if you could match up Baylor's offense right now with like an average defense, a middle of the road, a team that gets takeaways, a team that does something well, like stops the run or stops the pass. And unfortunately, the Bears and the Cowboys have teams that really do neither. The only time Baylor stops the run is when teams don't care to run. The only time they stop the pass is when Auburn says, you know what? We think Jackson Arnold can just run all over you, and he's going to run for about 135 yards, and these tailbacks are going to run. Meanwhile, weeks later, you have a coach calling out his tailback. You have the tailback leaving the school. You have players fighting. You have the Auburn coach under fire. But the fans don't even remember that Baylor game. The Auburn fans are so far removed from that, Auburn's going to be looking for a new head coach. It looks like Florida could end up looking for a new head coach. I mean, it's just Penn State already is. So, I don't know. I mean, Scotty, I would say that losing to TCU puts you in peril, puts you at 4-3. But let's not pretend that while Baylor fans might be upset about it, might be talking about a change, there's no scenario where a 4-3 Baylor is like, oh my gosh, Dave's on the hot seat. But now, could it turn into that? Yes. But what it would take is a huge slide. It would take losing 3 out of 4 games or something like that. Is that possible? Yeah, kind of is. It kind of is, sadly. But again, the way we're looking at this thing is go get a win. Go get a win. And see what you can if you can make something happen on Saturday at TCU. It's going to be fun. We're going to be on campus. We're going to be doing our pregame show, and then I'll be racing over to the field. Scotty's going to race to either the field or a position to take it all in. Faith will be racing to position. I mean, for all I know, she'll have like a sideline pass. You never know with Faith where she might end up. Okay, Scotty, let's do some Campus Confidential. Let's do it next.